Let's start. So I want to talk with you about, I call it the next generation of remote learning, respectively homeschooling with Microsoft Teams. First of all, I want to introduce myself, so you know who is the person who is talking to you. My name is Nicole Enders. I'm an MVP for Office Apps and Services, and in my normal daily business life, I'm working as a managing consultant for Modern Workplace. So I talk to my customers about how to improve collaboration, how a modern workplace can look like, and even from a technical perspective, but also from the perspective how to adopt this technology. So what's about people right there. And yeah, when I'm not working for CONET, then I'm doing a lot of stuff in the community. And as Corona began, I was looking for the whole situation with homeschooling. So I remember my first talk was to one of my colleagues who has I think 3 kids. And she said to me, Nicole, you have no idea what my daily business is now about, because my kids are at home and I'm at home too, and we are sitting at the table, and I have no clue what to do right there. So are there any solutions or not? Do you think about some technology? And I was thinking about, and I have no kids, so I'm not in the same situation. But as I said, I know that there's Microsoft Teams for the education sector. And at the same time, I also had some contact to one of my previous teachers. So my previous school, where I had so many lessons, they for sure had the same challenge. And yeah, I support my previous school. So it's now a journey around about 1.5 years. And I want to talk about this success story because I did a lot of stuff there and I found 2 great colleagues who support me there as well. And yeah, I have some general stuff here because you can transfer this to a lot of other situations and other schools. But I also want to talk to you about this special success story. So, first of all, I like to start with the challenges of remote learning. And first of all, I want to look on the students and the parents, because parents are involved as well, even if you are a younger child. And on the next slide, we will focus on the challenges for the teachers. So first of all, if you look on the challenges, I'm not sure if it's there in every school, but in these schools I support, there were a lot of challenges to switch to a digital learning format because there were no concepts. And if I remember my own school time, then I know that I had to carry a lot of books with me, and I got some papers every morning for the different lessons. So my teachers spent a lot of time to copy my task papers. And yeah, now with everybody sitting at home, it wasn't so easy anymore. And I can tell you that my school, they already had Office 365, but they were not using it intensively. So they were using it as some kind of a file share. They were exchanging some documents, but not all of them. And now they said, okay, we have an idea what to do, so we need to create more folders, and we need to think about some permission management and so on. But they were not thinking about how to do the real school life with the technologies they already had. Yeah, and maybe that was because there were missing guidelines and best practices. So they had no concepts, but they didn't have a success story where they could say, okay, another school did this in this way, and now we can do this on the same way, or we can try it and then adopt it to our special needs. So students were sitting at home and had no clue what to do. They were waiting that their teachers will tell them how we will do the whole homeschooling and so on. And there was not enough contact between the teachers and students, because it's the teachers need to find their own way how to handle the situation, and they didn't communicate with their students in the same way as before. And maybe there was no chance to do this because didn't have enough devices. So think about Microsoft Teams meeting as we are doing this at the moment. If you don't have a PC or a tablet or a smartphone, then you cannot join the meeting. And for us, it was a huge challenge to have enough devices, because before Corona, maybe there were enough devices at home for the usual needs, but now the parents needed their PC. There weren't enough tablets for every kid at home, so you need to find some kind of a sharing model, or you need a school or some way to buy new devices and then to join the meetings. Yeah, and last but not least, I told you the situation with my colleague with the 3 kids. She said to me, you have also a problem with privacy, because if multiple persons are sitting in the same room, think about the parents who are working from home and they have their business meetings, and then you're sitting as a kid at the same table as your parents, and you have to listen to your teacher. So you have a device, you have contact to your teacher, but there's no privacy at the moment. And for the parents, it's the same, because maybe that's a critical business meeting. So what do you need to do? Maybe you have to leave the living room or the kitchen. You have to go to another room. You have to hope that you have a good Wi-Fi connection, that you can continue joining your meeting. But it's a problem. So you have to think about how can we deal with the situation at home. Maybe everybody's sitting in his own room or not. It depends. Yeah, and you have also some questions. So the questions are more related to the parents, because my first example is, what do I need to do to enable my child to attend online lessons? So is everything fine if he has his own device, or do I need to do some kind of training? Do I need to teach my kid how to use the device and how to join a meeting and so on? Because the teachers cannot do this. The teachers can start doing their job when my kid can join the online lessons and knows what to do there. And I recognize this in my business as well. It's so hard to explain something if you are far away and you see that somebody is doing something wrong, and you can explain it, but you cannot go to the side of this person and say, you have to click here. So that's part of the parents, or maybe the the kids between each other when they're living in the same family. How can I support my child in this new situation? And that's not only related to technology. That's also related to the whole situation, because as I remember some talks to my friends or to my colleagues, then some kids are pretty fine with the situation. They say, okay, I'm staying at home. I know how to use my video or audio conferencing tool. I can join my online lessons. I have contact to my my fellow students and my friends. But there are other kids who are really challenged by the situation because they don't have so much contact to other kids. And usually when they were going to school, then you would have this contact automatically. And now they're sitting at home and yeah, they're joining the online lessons, but they're feeling really alone. And maybe you as a parent, now you have the task to support your child in another way. You have to help your child to handle the situation. And this is what was an important question last year. I think this year in my environment, it's not so much more this question, but it can show up again if the situation changes. Which tasks are mine as a parent instead of the teachers as before? So think about how can you join the meeting. Maybe the teachers say, okay, I cannot teach this special skill because it's a social skill. So maybe you have to do this in your family now. And it helps a lot that if teachers and parents talk about the situation and what's the tasks of everybody. And last but not least, here we have how can I promote my child's social interaction with people outside of my own family. I know it's very hard because if you don't have so much contact and you want to stay in your environment, then it's not so easy that you can say, okay, please go outside, play with the other kids in the neighborhood. Maybe you have to find some other ways like online gaming groups for kids of a special age. Or you say, okay, maybe there are some kind of communities in the school and we can do something outside of school, but even staying at home. Yeah, there are some examples I will show you later on when we go to the success story. Let's go on the other perspective with the teachers. And as you can see, the challenges are not so different because the teachers had the same situation for sure, and that maybe in the school there were no tools and no platform for online lessons. Switching to a digital format was really hard for some of them. Maybe some of the younger teachers, they said, okay, I already had some digital learning material, but now I have to complete this. Other teachers would say, what's about digital learning material? I don't have anything. I need these 4 books and I need to copy them stuff and so on. How should I do this now in the new world? Yeah, and you all had to think about this. And here in Germany, for example, it was a really hard challenge because there were no devices for the teachers, or only a small amount of devices. So many of the teachers were using a PC privately, but not in the school area. And now you had to decide, I'm sitting at home. Will I use my private PC to join the Teams meeting, for example? Or will I get a PC from my school or a tablet or whatever, so I can do this on a device managed by my school? Yeah, and it depends on the rules which are there for the different schools or the department or the country. Yeah, and partially there was no contact to the students or only contact via the parents. So think about even the younger kids. And I remember the name of my teacher in the first and second class, even nowadays. So it was a really impressive teacher for me, and maybe because it was my first teacher. And yeah, if you think about this, young children, and they don't have contact to their teacher, or maybe the teacher is only allowed to write an email to the parents, and the parents have to print out what was sent to them. The students will fill it out, and so again, the whole way back, you don't have this relationship to each other. So this can be really hard for a teacher as well, because he lives from this relationship in the future months and years. If you think about the next lessons you have to learn. Yeah, and the teachers had also some questions. So how should I design my online lessons? So if I think about the concept in my school, then they said, okay, we don't have online lessons for each lesson we would do in the school or before Corona. We will have a few online lessons, and even for the older students, we will have some kind of a check-in and a check-out, and between this, they can learn on their own. But what should I do in my online lesson? What is the ratio between homework and online meetings? And how do I check the homework? What about giving grades? So some kind of rating. And how can I respond to individual students? So think about sitting in the same room. You would see, okay, these two students are talking to each other, so maybe they are not listening to what I'm talking about. This student, that's one of the silent ones. Maybe I have to ask him something so that he has a chance to participate in my lesson. And maybe there are two of them which have some question marks in their mind. So maybe I lost them. So I have to explain it a little bit or ask them if they understood everything. But now in doing online lessons or with a lot of homework, so that you have some kind of offline work, how should I do this? And how can I recognize what my students are doing during the online lessons? So I had to talk to one of my my schools which I support, and the headmaster told me, I have a real problem because in my online lessons nobody's turning on his camera, so I'm talking to a black screen or whatever, or to my wall, and I hope that somebody will listen to the stuff I'm talking about. But maybe nobody is there, or maybe they only joined the meeting and then they set themselves on mute, check that the camera is turned off. Maybe they're doing something completely different as I want to do this. Yeah, and what can I do there? And it's not so easy, because you can set up some rules that you say, okay, every student has to turn on his camera, and I prefer that in a meeting that you turn on your camera, because then you have the chance to see each other and you get more information as the audio signal. Yeah, but maybe you have the problem with the privacy, as you remember from the students and parents' perspective, so that the student says, I don't feel comfortable, or I cannot turn on my camera. Maybe it's even a problem with the device. Yeah, so that was also the question. And last but not least, and I know that there's not a solution by a technology, but that's also something teachers have to think about. How can I see if students are bullying each other? So how can I prevent this? What should I do? Should I disable the chat function or whatever? I say you can disable as many functions as you want in a tool. If there's no way in your tool, students will find another way to do this. So maybe you have to think about other stuff. So do not prevent this by limiting technology. Try to prevent this by talking about such stuff, and maybe you have an online lessons how this topic is going on and how you can deal with another situation. So that's enough about the challenges. If we think about how we can use Microsoft Teams, I'm pretty sure that most of you are familiar with the main use cases of Microsoft Teams. So we can use it for collaboration, I would say, and collaboration in different ways. So Teams meetings, we can have phone calls, we can do events like our event today, or maybe even large events where you have some kind of streaming service. And we can work in project teams, communities. Maybe you want to support org units, or you can even work together with external users. But the education version is a little bit different. So digital learning is some kind of an exotic topic if you look on the Teams use cases. And I want to talk about this exotic topic. So think about Microsoft Teams as a place where you can have a virtual class. So Teams for each class, for example, I created here one for the grade 5A. And team rooms are not so different here. You may have a different layout. So as you see, you don't have the same navigation as we have it in the business edition, because here I'm focused on one team and I have to go back here with this menu item to the list of all my teams. But you could also have the same layout as we are used to. So that's a configuration in your own profile. Yeah, and when you are here in your team room, you have the team or the class, and maybe you create channels for each subject. And that's a huge discussion if you create a channel for each subject or if you create a team for each subject. And it depends how you want to work with this team room. So in my case, I would add every teacher who is teaching in this class. And I would add for sure every student. And then the teacher who's teaching, for example, English, he could also go to the other channels like mathematics, history, and so on. If you don't want to have this, then you would say, okay, I need a team for each subject. You will see this in a few seconds on another slide. But in my case, I think even in the younger ages, then it's fine to have a team for the whole class. And you only have to think about some features. I call it the killer features. and you will see them later on. And then you have to decide if you prefer the one or the other option. It's not related to the Teams education section, but I really recommend the search and command bar. So if you start with a slash in the command bar, and you get a lot of recommendations, for example, to start a chat, to switch to another team, or to start a phone call. So maybe you're working here in this team room and you have a question for somebody, then you could start with slash chat and you can chat this person, or you start a call. And it's related to your language settings, which what is the right command, right, or in this top. Yeah, and you also have the navigation bar. We know this, so you see the chat and mentions. So if I get some messages, I will see it directly here. For a student, could be that you see, okay, some of my fellow students has a question, or we work together on a project and we don't have a team room for this. We only have a group chat. Or maybe my teacher answered one of my questions, or I get mentioned anywhere because somebody needs my help. Yeah, and how could it look like if I watch this now from the perspective maybe of it was a little bit older kid. So here my student is going to grade 11. Yeah, and he has a team for each course or each subject. And he can arrange them in the direction he wants. So he has a team room for general information. Here, the one on the left side. And then he has his different subjects here. So French and biology are the most important ones. And then he has the other team rooms. You also see with the bold format that there are some unread messages, or here in this case, you see this notification bubble. So you know, okay, there are some new mentions. So maybe I personally would check this first and then later on the unread messages. And also the search and command bar and the channel mentions. So that's the same structure as we have. And for a teacher, I would prefer the other layout. So the one we know from the business edition, because a teacher will not be assigned only to one class or one course. So he will have a lot of team rooms. And this view we had here takes a lot of place for every team room. So I would prefer this list. And you would have the chance to go from one room to the other. And I'm more of some kind of a visual person, so I like to have these icons here. So that's a team logo. And you have a lot of team logos out of the box. Some of them are related to different subjects, I would say. And some of them you can be a little bit creative. So I selected some of them here so we can see them. Yeah, and here it depends if you are going with a class, a course, a subject, or some different topics for team room. And maybe it's good to talk about this with the other teachers. So you need some kind of concept. What are we doing there? Are we going with a team room for each class, for the grades 1 to 7, and later on we are switching it, so we have a team room for each course? How should we name our team rooms? So as you can see here, they are going with the years where the school year starts. month and the year where the school year ends, and then the name of the class, and here at the end, the name of the primary teacher. That could be an idea. Or would you say, I want it in a different way? And I saw so many different solutions, but you need a solution for the whole school so that the students know how to deal with this wording, and that the teachers know how to name their team rooms. So it's the same. A teacher could also go with this this one, but I would recommend the last view to have an overview about everything. So now think about your first steps with Microsoft Teams. If I think about a class or a course, then I would do my online lessons via Teams meetings. I know that there are other options, but I would go with Teams meetings. So every student has the permission to unmute himself, and he can join the meeting. He can share some information and so on. Panel paintings can be done via PowerPoint or a whiteboard. So we have the whiteboard app in the Teams meetings. Maybe I want to prepare this, a whiteboard as a teacher, and I can do this also. Plan your online lessons in your calendar and invite every student. So every student can go to Teams, he can see what's going on, what's the next online lesson, and maybe if he's sick, then he can reject the meeting invitation, and the teacher already knows that the student will not join the Teams meeting on this day. And even for some special questions and so on, there can be some ad hoc meetings or calls from the Teams chat. So think about the Teams room from the chat. So maybe you got a task, and some students have a question, and they write that question in the Teams chat. Then you say, okay, now let's start a meeting. We don't have an online lesson at the moment, but I have some time, and my students should have some time. So we can talk about this, and we find a solution very, very easily, or much more faster than we would do this when writing in the chat. And also we should use the central document storage, because in every team room there's a tab for documents, and the teacher can also use this. And there's also a section which is read only by the students but writable by the teachers. So the teacher can add some stuff, and the students can only read or download this. And the other section that's writable by everyone, so the students can upload maybe their homework and so on. So between the online lessons, there's also situations that you need communication between individual students, parents, and the teachers. So this can be a conversation via the standard chat, maybe really in a chat message or an audio or video call. There's also the option to schedule meetings. Maybe if a teacher wants to talk with the parents of a student, then he can schedule a meeting, and the parents can join this Teams meeting and can talk about this the special topic. And there will be a lot of other meetings. Think about grading conferences or a student council meeting. This can also be done via Teams meetings, sharing a screen, exchanging information, and so on. If you think about bigger scenarios, so meetings with all students and teachers of a school, maybe there will be some information events like what should I vote for in my next school year, that I get a special course. Then I would do this via a live event if it's a bigger school. because in meetings you have to think about limitations about participants and so on. And the live event, as I said, is some kind of streaming with a Q&A section. So this is for the future events, but you don't have so much interaction, but then you have to keep this in mind. So and now my two killer features, and then we have to think about if a team room for a class or a subject is better. First of all, there's a class notebook, and maybe you have heard about this already, or you are already using this. So the class notebook, that's a special OneNote file, and this is prepared in every team room in the Teams education section. So if you have a new team room, then you have some kind of a wizard to create this class notebook, and then it has some special sections, as you can see in the screen here. So first of all, you have the so-called collaboration space. Collaboration space, that's the section where every student and every teacher can manage content. So everybody can add new pages, new subsections. You can edit pages from other persons. And the content library, that's different because there a teacher can manage content, but a student can only read the content. So that's more the way when I think about, my teacher copied some pages of a book and then he gave me the pages and I could read this, but I like to do my own notes there. So maybe the content library is not the right part, but the student notebooks, that can be a cool place because I have my own copy. The teacher can give me some new content, but I can also create my own content. And each student only sees his own notebook. So think about this screen here. You see collaboration space, content library, and you also see a teacher only section. So that's not here in the list, but a teachers only section. That's some pre-step, I would say, for the content library. So here only the teacher has access to. A student doesn't see the section. And if a teacher says, okay, my content is ready, then he can move this to the content library. But you see also Anna and Tom, and these are my two students here in this scenario. And Anna only would see her section, Tom only his, and the teacher sees every section. Yeah, and if I'm looking on this, then it's really cool because from a teacher's perspective, I can see what my students are doing. If I have a new task and they are working on some stuff, then I can look into Anna's student notebook and I see, is she struggling with something, or does she write some questions right there? Maybe Anna already sent me a chat message and said, I have no clue what to do with this task. I wrote some questions down there, and then I can have a look here in this in her notebook, and maybe I can answer these questions, and she can continue working on her task. So that's the way where we are doing this when we are not in an online lesson. And I'm talking about tasks at the moment. So there's the other function. Here it's called assignments. That's my killer feature number 2, because that's the function to assign and manage tasks. So we have a special menu item in the left navigation for this, but you also find this as a tab in each team room. And there you have the option to prepare tasks. You can decide if you want to do some kind of evaluation later on, or if it's only some kind of a homework. And you can unlock a task for a special period of time. So you can decide, okay, tomorrow I have my online lesson, and when the online lesson is finished, then the task will start, and my students have time until Wednesday to complete this work. And I could also decide if it's possible to return the work results even after Wednesday or not. So in some cases you want to have this chance. Yeah, and I can also decide if I want to assign my task to all students or only to a single student or a group of selected students. And that's a flexible function, because on some kinds I have homework for everybody. And if a student says, okay, I'm finished, I need some new tasks, then you could say, okay, you were so fast. Maybe I assign a special task to you, and I know that you will need some time until the other ones are ready with their first one. Yeah, and as you can see here on this screen, I had a task, present your favorite book. That was one of my favorite tasks in school, and we could talk about the books we read previously. Yeah, and here you see a row for each student, so Anna and Tom, and we see the status. So you see not turned in. If Anna would have watched the task already, then you would see that she viewed this task. And when she turns her result in, then we would see the status here as well as returned. And you have a flexible option. So if you turn in your work results, you can do this with a complete new file. So you have the standard options, Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, or you can upload any other document. And if you would use Teams from your smartphone, for example, you could also take a picture and then turn in this picture as a work result. And think about that you don't have a device for the whole day, and you're doing your homework on a paper. It would be easily to take a picture of your result and then send it to your teacher, and everything is fine. So you can do some kind of device sharing at home. Yeah, and for the teacher, it's also can check the current state of tasks. You can get results and give feedback to the students. So maybe you don't do some kind of valuation. That's an exam or so. So you have only usual homework. The student did something wrong. You can give feedback. The student can do some rework and back again and so on until it's understood in the correct way. Yeah, and if you think now about these two features, there's one restriction, because the assignments and the class notebook is only available in the general channel. So think about the situation where we want to have a team room for the whole class. You would need a real cool structure for the class notebooks and the assignments, that you know this is for a subject. History, that's for English, and so on. Yeah, and it should be really easily to select the right notebook pages, because if you think about the assignments, then when I create an assignment, I need to give a title and a description, and I can also add some kind of an attachment, and the attachment can be a page of my class notebook. And if I don't find the right page very easily, then I wouldn't use this feature. But this feature is really cool, because think about the content library of the class notebook, where the teacher prepared every stuff for the students. And now in an assignment, so in the real task, he can refer to this content library, to the special pages. So you don't have some redundant information, and you don't need to rewrite everything in your assignments. And you can use this class notebook later on for other classes, or think about the upcoming school years. So that's really nice. So, and only one last slide before I finish my talk, think about going a step further and use Teams. That's where I come to my success story. Because if I started working together with my school last year, they were focused on how should I create a team room for my class. And yeah, it was really funny because I became a teacher for my teachers at this moment, and I told them, yeah, there's so many options, but we need to go one step by another. And yeah, we started. Sorry, we started with the team rooms for the different classes and for the older ones for a course. For a team room. But then I thought, you need to think about your learning concepts. How do you want to do this? And when you create a new team in the Teams Education Edition, then you have these 4 options. And these are different templates. In the business area, we only know the option Other. We don't have the screen, but that's the template behind this. But what about a professional learning community? That's really cool to organize teachers of the same interest. So I said, maybe you create a PLC for every English teacher. So you can talk about your learning concepts. You get some ideas because there's a great OneNote file in there as well with some stuff how to do digital learning. And you can exchange your learning material. You can work together on new one and so on. And think about the team type here with staff. Staff is about if the headmaster wants to organize the collaboration with his teachers. And there's also a OneNote file, and it works very similar to the class notebook. So a headmaster can add some information, and every teacher gets his own copy, and he can create own content and so on. Yeah, and in my school, we did it in the following way. Last year, before the summer holidays, we were focused on the team rooms. We did a lot of trainings with the teachers, and even during the summer holidays. And with the next school year, we started working with these online lessons, and we had I did some special support there. And then we did the next step and the next step. So we started, for example, creating some forms with Microsoft Forms to collect informations from the students. We created the first apps with Power Apps to support school processes a little bit better, because they already had the licenses. They were not using this. And we did this in the way that we did a workshop. We collected some teachers, and later we also invited some students. And they were our first people who said, okay, I know how to do this. I can teach this to other ones. And yeah, even the new school year has now started. And now we see that there's some kind of creating apps or building new solutions is now part of the different subjects already. And that's really great to see how our school can evolve with this whole situation. It challenge in the last year, but now they are working more and more to go to such a real digital learning and teaching format. So that's it. Are there any questions?
Hey, thank you, Nicole. Any questions, please post on the chat. I see there's one question. How can I turn a PDF that was uploaded by the student into printout? instead of downloading?
How can I turn a PDF? I'm thinking about this question. Uploaded. I'm not sure what is meant with the transformation in a printout. Because if a student turns in a PDF, then it's stored in the team room itself, and I could watch it directly there when I want to do the evaluation. I cannot write in this document for sure, so I need to do this with the feedback option I have on the right side. But I don't need to do the downloading. Maybe that's a difference when you are using the desktop app or the web app. And I would recommend using the desktop app for this.
Okay, actually, I also don't quite get that question. For example, if that document is already a PDF,
so far there's no way to do the auto, switching from the attached PDF into a printout. So still need to manually download and upload back as a printout.
So when you say a printout, what does it mean?
It means that in OneNote you can choose to attach a PDF, or you can choose to attach the PDF as a printout. Means that it straight away shows
yes,
something like that. So teachers can straight away do the markings and drawings on the printout itself.
But not true. I've attached things into Teams or into OneNote, and then I can attach it as an attachment, which is a PDF. At the same time, the actual document also appear in full.
It depends what kind of document you attach, but PDF you can't, because you need to choose
mine is a PDF.
But so far we tried, we can't have both together lah. So that's why the attendee is actually asking how to do the convert it without downloading.
Okay, when I understood it right, then you edit the PDF in the OneNote.
Yeah.
Because I would do this in a different way. I was talking about the document storage we have in the team room. As a student, I would upload my documents right there, and I only would refer to this in my notebook. And then you don't have this problem, I think.
Yeah. Okay, actually, nowadays software, especially let's say Microsoft or whatever, we never get a final product one, because it's always on the beta, because it keeps changing, and the cloud actually allows it. It keeps improving. So sometimes within Teams, at certain part you can do certain things, but in certain part you find, how come this feature functionality is not there? So this is it's also a new normal. When we work with cloud solutions and all that is also a new normal, because the product is constantly being updated and constantly being changed or improved, which is a good word, improved. Okay, so it's probably something that we got to get used to. There's no final product, so to speak.
That's always so that you have to think about, okay, yesterday I know it was working this way, and now, oh my god, there's a new button. What should I do there?
Precisely, because you can be using Teams last month, but when you use this month, you say, how come previously it don't seem to be like that, Okay. Or for the matter, let's say Power BI. Power BI is so-called updated on a monthly basis, So every month you get to download your new Power BI desktop, so to speak. But also we have to get used to things keep changing and all that. If not, I think thanks a lot, Nicole, for the presentation. And I think the message here is that when you see all these things, it's totally feature rich. So when you look at Teams, wow, how to have 4 different kind of Teams in the edu version. Okay, so actually there's a lot that you need to really hands-on and use it, and then you will start to discover and and know how to go about doing certain things. Okay. Is there any final questions for Nicole from the audience? Nicole, you're dialing in from where? Where are you now?
I am from Germany, so it's
Okay, yes.
so not early in the morning anymore. So it's 10 a.m.
I see.
now.
Okay. We are about 4 p.m. here over here. Yes. Oh, so if not, let me see. Oh, so if not, so thanks a lot to Nicole. Okay. Thanks a lot for also everyone else for attending. Any final words, Nicole?
I think it was a cool session to talk to you all, and I hope you had a great event. I'm not sure if there are any sessions now left when you say that you are 4 p.m. now.
No, actually on plan, there was a session yesterday that cannot happen because the speaker from Bangladesh, there was a countrywide outage of the internet, so he wasn't able to present. So we have moved it to 4 p.m. today, but latest check is that he's still not able to do it. Okay, so we have to so-called close the edu track also soon after this, and also with that closure, that will also be close of the event. Okay, so before
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So before we close the track, is there any other things that we can discuss? We can open it for open discussion. The attendees, anything you want to ask, and we can see whether we are able to answer those things. Anything to share, experience, whatever. Anybody? Sounds quiet. Eh? Sounds quiet.
I just allowed mic for everyone, so you guys can.
Yes, please. Allow mic and video if they want. Yeah.
Let us take a photo then.
You want to what kind of scene?
Johnny, can you put up a large gallery view first? Come on, let's on your camera, then we take a photo just for memory for this summit 2021.
Any questions because I see some attendees are pretty active participation. Lai Ilo, and also a Ho by the initial of Ho. Anything you like to show? Anything you like to share? Yeah. No? Yes. Okay.
Nothing. Okay, Johnny, are you ready?
Why so few people?
Yeah.
If too less people turn on video, right, I can't select large gallery actually.
Yeah. Please come on, join us. This is the first time we have an education track. So we hope that we can have a photo to put into our album. Come on.
You want large gallery or you want a together mode?
Two.
Oh, both. All right.
Okay. Smile.
Okay. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
Okay, then the together mode.
Okay. Give me a moment. Do a capture. Yeah. Okay, let me change
Johnny,
the
how come
scene.
I'm not appearing also, Johnny?
Do you see anything now?
I only see your small circle.
I have actually changed to together mode. Let me just change the scene.
Right.
Okay, one moment. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody for attending. Yes, thank you.